Mr. Kadish is the greatest live stream producer to ever live. He is both the smartest man alive and the sexiest. Jude is a lucky gal. Mr. Kadish is an inspiration to us all, and we are all better for having him in our lives. I honestly don't know what life would be like without Mr. Kadish. He is the sunshine on a gloomy day. All hail Mr. Kadish. He is my most favorite person ever. Huzzah.
Huzzah. Welcome, everybody, to yet another Salty Saturday morning. I am your host, Mr. Kadish, and with me, as always, is my fantastic panel of nerds, starting with the guy who just gives me flowers every Saturday, Dutch Butters. How you doing, Dutch?
I hate you so much. I can't even express my loathing of you at this moment. Yeah, that was fun. You literally shocked me a little bit when it started, and I started talking at myself because I forgot you had these things there for a second. But hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Indeed.
I'm here. Brian, how's 1997 treating you? You're starting to look a little better.
It's getting a little better.
You're more like 2020.
My kids are downloading like all kinds of game updates, bro. Like,
Dutch, you need to explain that reference because people who weren't here before.
I did in a chat a little bit when back behind the scenes before we get going. We always meet up, like 5 minutes before, and Brian came in at like 12 pixels in 5 frames per hour. It was insane. It was crazy looking. And we're like, dude, your AOL dial-up connection is a little slow today. You need to fix that before we go live.
My 13-year-old is downloading updates on her Xbox, her computer, like her sister's computer. She has all the computers all updating game updates right now. I'm like, what are you doing?
Wow.
Sucking up all the bandwidth.
Well, speaking of sucking up bandwidth, Brian's here from the podcast.
Hey, what's up?
How are things going?
Good to see you guys.
Yes, you excited to talk about Star Wars today?
No. I hate Star Wars.
You sent the email out, bro, dude, and I said, "Oh, we're talking about Star Wars this week." Oh, I think I'm getting sick. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it this week.
This email gave me COVID. I'm laid up for a week.
Yeah, but I'm here for it either way.
And he's Lord of the Shelves, the king of the pineapple pizza, father to all poopers everywhere. Odin of O&B Reviews. How you doing, Odin?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Interesting, fun week in news, and another boring week at the box office.
Dude, it's so boring. Do you have any information on Chainsaw Head or whatever the fuck that guy is?
I have no idea. I'm not an anime guy, but I had a lot of people just defending it in the chat in my comment section, so I assume that it's good stuff. So I obviously won't judge it because I don't know what it is. But yeah, when that's winning the box office and it's not that big of a movie, it says a lot about the current state of things.
It made like $9 million at the box office.
Yep.
We're still talking about Hassan shocking his dog, so there must not be a lot of other stuff going on out there. So
yeah, Hassan is now convincing people that it's a hoax. I'm like,
oh, gosh.
There's video of it, dude.
All these people gaslighting everyone, like he's the only one gaslighting anybody.
Right.
And like Ludwig's whole take on it, where he's like, it's 100% shock collar. Then literally the next day after getting bullied, he's like, oh guys, it's a vibration collar. I saw it.
Didn't the manufacturer of the collar come out and actually say, yeah, it's a shock collar?
Also, there was like a veterinarian who came out and like verified that it was a shock collar and that it was being used incorrectly and all this other stuff. Like,
the guy is such a dirtbag.
It's the cover up that's the story. It's not the crime, right? Like if he had just said like, oh, I'd shocked my dog, sorry, it's a training mechanism, people it would have died. But he keeps lying about it. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. He just keeps lying.
As a kid who grew up on a cattle and horse ranch, it doesn't hurt that much. We used to dare each other to go grab the electric fence. Do stuff like that.
My siblings and I used to put on the shock collars and then see how far we can make it past the invisible line. Oh my god, damn it!
That explains a lot, Brian.
It does.
Like, look, man, we grew up daring our friends to pee on the electric fence.
Yeah, bro.
So,
my cousin and I my cousin held the record. He made it like 30 feet before he crawled back beyond the line. Gen X is different, man, bro. We were built a little different.
That's very
We didn't wear shoes. We drank out of the hose, and we shocked each other for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not wrong. That's 100%.
Well, if anyone out there is wondering where Tom Connors Jr. from Midnight's Edge is, he is busy eating cereal with his mini girlfriends poolside at a Mexican cabana somewhere.
Yeah.
So hopefully he will decide to grace us with his presence at some point during the episode. He apparently thinks that the show is voluntary. It's like, oh, just show up when you feel like it. But I want to thank all my other host co-panelists for being here sort of on time. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I was here 30 minutes ago. So.
At least mine's always built in. It's like, okay, it's going to be 5 or 10 minutes depending on my son's bowel movements.
I was taking a shower, so.
Yeah. At least you showed up fully clothed, Brian. So that's always a good thing.
Barely.
Yeah,
like the camera was turning on as I was slipping my shirt on. So
gotta get your breakfast meat stick in your face. So that's good.
I'm on this carnivore diet, and I get real angry when I don't eat something.
Apparently, Brian's pixelation was actually just censorship to cover his naughty bits.
That's what
but speaking of appreciation, guys, I want to give a big shout out to our leaderboard, Scotty Dub and Made You Say Butts. Thank you guys so much for continuing to be at the top of our leaderboard, as well as Mexican Iron Man, who is our most consistent donator, and Jillian H, Major Chai Chai, and Eric Winberg, who are our top gifters. So we really appreciate you guys. Without Tom here, it's hard to keep that leaderboard up because it covers up important stuff. But once he hops on, I will put it back on. Speaking of which, our goal today is 10 new gifted memberships or regular memberships, however we want to do it. It's fine.
It's memberships.
But but if we don't hit this goal, Dutch Butters is going to quit and Brian is going to stop showing up fully dressed. So we don't want.
If we don't hit the goal, then I'm just going to be here naked every single time.
Brian will have to change to vegan beef sticks.
Hey, real quick, the poll you put up, can we address that real quick?
Yeah, that's
we'll get to it. Okay.
All right.
Give me time. I got a format planned out, man. I come prepared. So we've hit 21,000 subscribers on the channel, but we're still a long way off from the 25,000 subscriber goal. So help us get that before the end of the year, guys. Share out the stream, help everyone out. It's all good.
Man, you got to piss off another big time Hollywood director if we're going to make that.
I know,
goal.
Right? I know. Who should I piss off? Who's a big time Hollywood?
Well, somebody, you know, I don't know. I have no idea.
You know, I should piss someone off. You just don't know who. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Speaking of pissing people off, Dutch, tell us about Salty Nerds Discord.
Salty Nerd Discord just got organized a little bit yesterday. We broke it down into some more games. We have some more dedicated forums because Battlefield 6 is out and Arc Raiders is coming out this week. So we got growing communities for these different games over there in the gaming section, and the Salty Nerd section is still you and Anthony Mark discussing replays of this show.
No, the two most important people on the Discord.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I look forward to Anthony's recap every single week because I like it when he says Dutch Butters was the star of the show with this comment, and then he really puts it out there, you know. So he always does it. It's good stuff. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. So if you want to join our community when we are not live, go over to saltynerdiscord.com. Takes you right to our Discord server. There's all types of stuff going on over there. It's a lot of fun, really good community. Yep. And Dutch, when was the last time you did a watch party?
A few weeks ago. Did
you watch?
I think it was Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
The good one, not the
the good one, the one with Arnold. One with the Arnold. Conan, what is best in life? That one. I got that one there. So.
Speaking of good ones, I want to give a big shout out to Mephisto's Movie Reviews. They have the Real McCoy podcast that occurs once this show is over. So if you like talking about movies, head on over there and check him out. But if you don't like talking about movies, if you like talking about political stuff, stay tuned for The Brain Show immediately after this.
It's not all politics.
Through the power of technology, we send you all over there anyway. But Brian pees in a cup and then goes right into like his next live stream after the longest intro ever. I don't know why you can't go to the bathroom during that long ass intro.
5-minute intro. I live in a sprawling estate. You know where my bathroom is? It's on the other side. It's in the East Wing. Okay, it's under construction right now. I can't get there in time.
Are you going to talk about the Donald Trump auditorium and event center?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the ballroom. Yeah. We're going to talk about that Muslim dude in New York.
Mom Dami.
Yeah, little Warner Brothers stuff, some fake news, a little bit of entertainment, some alien stuff going on. It's going to be good.
Some fake news.
Have you guys seen
No,
that meme?
and Trump's third term, apparently.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that meme of the White House with like the huge golden Trump tower? Like
Yeah,
as
that's-
the West Wing.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
it's
all for
great.
it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I want to see that so bad.
Yeah.
Just
So-
because the amount of people that their heads would be exploding
Uh-huh.
over it would just be
Yeah.
mind-bogglingly fun to watch.
Who's joining you on the show today, Brian?
It's my homeboy John, who, by the way, we didn't call out last week because he came on when you weren't here, like
Yeah.
last minute. So thank you for that, John. And my brother Shane. So it's gonna be the trio
Nice.
Sweet.
or the
Yeah.
threesome, the menage a trois,
Gross.
if you will.
I actually really enjoy your brain show. It's I love hearing you guys' takes on stuff that's going on in the world.
Let me ask you a question, Matt. Has it gotten better or worse since I vowed not to curse anymore?
I love it when you curse. So.
That's what everyone's telling me. They're like, you should just go back
worse.
to cursing.
I mean, it's not like children are watching your show, bro. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and YouTube doesn't care anymore. So
Yeah.
you're fine.
I'm just
exactly.
worried my 14-year-olds are going to come across these clips at some point.
Yeah. So speaking of 14-year-olds coming across clips, we have our community name thing still going on, and I put up a poll, and these were basically the suggestions from the comments from last week's episode and stuff like that. So it was Salt Miners, the Crusties, Salty Justice Warriors, aka SJWs, and Salt Tards, which was from Mexican Iron Man. And Brian, you said that you had something that you wanted to address.
Yeah, listen, it should be salt miners, but hear me out. Salt tards is really funny.
It is. That's going to be
So while it should realistically it should be salt miners. Like that's the perfect term for the fandom that is this community.
Mm-hmm.
But
You can't put the other one on a shirt, Brian.
salt tards is so funny,
No.
and I will put that on a shirt.
So the one
If Salt Tards wins, I will have shirts made for this.
And I
Can
will
we
not wear one.
the one thing that I'm concerned about when it comes to salt miners is that it could be like when you say it, it could be construed as, you know, under the age of 18.
Miners, not miners, you twit.
Yeah.
Almighty.
Yeah, but it's just too easy to conflate those two.
Oh, that's the problematic one, huh? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not the one with tard in the name, but that one, yeah, of course. Gosh.
Yeah. Can you see me opening every show? It's like, hey, Tards, welcome to the show. Love having you here, Tards.
I fucking love it, dude.
Welcome to the Salty Nerd Saturday morning show. Did you guys find your missing chromosome yet?
It's so good.
God, the worst.
The Salt Miners thing makes me think of Galaxy Quest. Every time when they go on that planet with the miners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Salt Tards to win. I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
Well, this is still an ongoing process, Brian. So if you guys have an idea for a name that you want to call our community or that we should adopt for our community, please leave it in the comments of this video or put it in the chat, however you want to do it. And also vote on the top 4 from last week so that we can see where everyone's heads are at and where they're leaning. But we really want to lock down a name for our community so that we can...
What about Saltines?
Ooh.
I don't like saltines.
I don't like the crusties. That don't make no
I
sense.
love saltines.
I mean, like, I love the crackers. I don't love it for a name for our community.
You love the
though.
crackers, huh? Well, that explains a lot. Mhm.
Yeah, true. Very
There
true.
it is.
You like saltines with mayonnaise.
Yeah. Speaking of things I
Even
love,
that's
we have a
too
super
spicy
chat.
for 'em.
Art to the Icky for $9.99. I have nothing important to say, just hanging out, enjoying the panel and show. Tell Jude I said hi and hope she is well. I will be sure to tell her that. Thank you very much. Funny and Dark member for 5 months. My Stargate parody season 1 episode 5-minute show is up on my channel. Ooh, we should check that out. Sounds good. And of course, we have Eric Winberg's obligatory gifted Salty Nerd podcast membership. I think it's in his contract. He has to do it once every Saturday. So thank you
So
so
that's-
much, Eric.
That's 6. That's all we need. You guys can stop.
Well,
because-
I haven't gotten to Jillian's stuff.
Okay, well, but I just want to take next week off, so 6 is fine.
Well, the queen of gifted subs, Jillian H, has gifted 5 Salty Nerd podcast memberships, bringing us to a total of 6. So we got 4 more to keep Brian's clothes on and Vader from quitting. So
Yeah.
just want to...
We're not gonna make it.
Not going to make it. All right. Speaking of not making it, guys, we have a big scoop coming from Nerdrotic about Avengers Doomsday characters that aren't going to be in Avengers Doomsday.
Oh no.
And this is pretty crazy. So shout out to the new Geeks and Gamers website. They have a very excellent article kind of detailing this on their links are in the description for everything.
Great
that we go over
website,
on the
same
show
shitty
today.
logo somehow. I don't know how they.
Really good.
But so apparently Nerdrotic got to see the actual Avengers Doomsday trailer. Apparently it's a long trailer. It focused entirely on Dr.
But he knows
Doom.
people, man. He knows people.
And he is not afraid to spill the beans on this thing. And apparently there are certain characters that are confirmed not to be in the movie, not the least of which is Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. Apparently she is out. But they also have basically stated that Ironheart will 100% not be in the movie, even though she was in the Black Panther sequel.
I'm so bummed about that.
And all the Disney Plus Marvel shows like Moon Knight, Echo, Daredevil, all that stuff, none of the characters from the TV shows are going to be in Avengers Doomsday, including She-Hulk. She-Hulk is not in Avengers Doomsday. So
no twerking green ladies?
Yeah, I was looking forward to the twerking, man.
Yeah, so was I.
But yeah, so Nerdrotic was just spilling the tea left and right about what this trailer is about and what's happening with it. And a lot of people are saying that this is proof positive that Marvel's panicking. They know that they fucked up with all these, She-Ra characters. Nobody likes them. Nobody likes any of the Disney Plus like LGBTQ diversity hire characters. And so they're trying at the last minute. Apparently there were lots of rewrites and, like they're bringing back like old actors and stuff like that. They're trying at the last minute to appeal to the core fan base and course correct and stuff like that. But apparently, according to the rumor mill, it's just chaos over at the Avengers Doomsday set. Apparently, last minute rewrites are going on. The what are the name of the brothers who are directing it again?
The Russo brothers.
The Russo brothers. Apparently, they're barely hanging on. Which, talking about Citadel and some of their other like Netflix movies and stuff like that, it seems par for the course for them. Or like I feel like before they got super famous and controlling, they were a little bit easier to work for and got their stuff out on time, like with Winter Soldier and Infinity War and Endgame even. But like ever since Endgame, they've just they've pulled the Wachowskis. They've lost all their mojo. So go ahead.
I would just say a standard operating procedure for Marvel movies.
Pretty much, but Marvel. What's interesting is that Marvel's putting a lot of like investment into this. Like they want Doctor Doom to be like even scarier and more powerful than Thanos. And apparently the entire trailer for this, according to Gary, is all about Doctor Doom. So the question really becomes, it's like, Thanos had like close to like a decade of buildup before like he made like his big debut. And so like they had really built up this menace, this character. Dr. Doom is just kind of like, oh, here he is. Fear him. So like I'm kind of wondering about the logic behind this, because one of the interesting things about Infinity War is that it really was Thanos's movie. He was like the main character of that movie. And I feel like they're trying to adapt that mentality to Avengers Doomsday. But they just spent so much time building up Kang the Conqueror, and then like they just dumped him because of the Jonathan Majors controversy and stuff like that, where this Doom, played by Robert Downey Jr., hasn't had any real build up to it. And so like I'm wondering like what the strategy is here. So Dutch, let's start with you. What's your take on all the She-Ra characters not making an appearance here in Avengers Doomsday?
we're talking about a trailer, right? Just a trailer. So
well, apparently Gary's confirmed that these characters are not in the movie.
Well, I haven't seen the trailer, and I honestly haven't read Gary's article or video. But it just seems to me you wouldn't want to put every single character in the movie in the trailer. So I'm just taking this with a grain of salt, and I'm hoping he's correct, because I don't think we need all these little side characters that they made all these terrible TV shows about on Disney Plus. So yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't even know if I'm really interested in this movie enough to even go see it yet. The only thing that would probably get me there is knowing that my wife wants to go see Robert Downey Jr. in a superhero movie. That's the only thing, so I don't know, man. I hope they are making a major course correction, because I like the early sees the season. What do you call it? The chapters 1, the chapter 2, the different phases. Phase 1 and 2 of the Marvel movies were great. I want them to go back to that. And if they can capture some of that, then maybe they have something here. But we all kind of know that that's probably not the case, right? So I hope it works out, but I guess we'll see.
Well, Brian, as somebody who's gotten inside scoops before that you were unfortunately forced to sit on before, like you could make them public, sounds like somebody leaked something to Gary, and he was just like, "This is cool. Fuck it. I'm just gonna put it out there."
Yeah.
You don't think it's your buddy who's doing the Vision series who has the inside scoop with Marvel, do you?
I highly doubt it. I don't think Terry had. Why would Terry even have the trailer?
I don't know. He's crafty.
Maybe, yeah, it could be that. I didn't get it. He didn't text me, so he obviously likes Gary more.
Well, he has no use for you anymore. So,
that's true.
Yeah.
The thing is, the funniest thing about that article, it mentions Gary as Bueller. It sounds way more official when he doesn't say Gary from Nerdrotic, you know?
Well,
According to Bueller.
It's Buelcher, right?
No, it's
Buecher.
Beekler. Gary Beekler.
Beekler.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's got an L in there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, I trust Gary, so it's not like other people would say, "Oh, I saw the trailer and this is what I saw," and I'd be like, "Liar." I wouldn't believe them for a second. But like if Cosmic Book News all of a sudden had, I'd be, nah, you're a liar. But Gary doesn't lie. Gary doesn't miss very often, and he's a very honest dude. So if you say he saw it, then he saw it, and whatever he says is in it is probably what's in it. I don't know how I got it. I don't know. I got friends and people over there, and I ain't get shit. So good job, Gary.
Yeah, that you make a good point, Brian. Like Gary, he has his detractors, but one thing you can't say about Gary is that he's not somebody who is like on the level of gaslighting or lying like Hassan Piker is, right? Like
he's not a liar.
Like when Gary says something, like he means it. He knows what he's talking about, and he doesn't try to deceive people. Like
nope.
He's always been very straightforward, and that's one of the reasons why he is where he is, because he's so authentic, right? Like he's just like a normal, cool guy. He's very giving. He's very generous, but he's also got integrity, which is one of the reasons why like he's been ostracized by like the mainstream entertainment media and stuff like that, because they're all basically paid for shills, and Gary doesn't chill, right? No, unless like he actually likes something, in which case he'll like shill for it. But that's coming from a genuine like of like the final product. And he's been very critical of Marvel stuff, so it's kind of surprising that he got access to it, unless like there's somebody inside who very much agrees with all of his takes. So wouldn't be surprising. Right. But Odin, as somebody who knows Gary and is on a smaller live stream than ours, known as Friday Night Tights, what's your take on this? Have you talked to Gary about like how he found out about this or anything like that?
Nothing more than has already been stated, publicly about it. But based on just reading the article again and quoting, what Gary actually has said on it, it's like a twofold thing where, for one, he says like when it comes to the actual trailer itself, that specifically has no Captain Marvel, no She-Hulk, no Ironheart. But then after the fact, he was also told that no one who hasn't appeared in any of the MCU films will be in Doomsday. So it's like a twofold thing where, for one, he's confirming that it's not that none of those characters are in the trailer, but then also he's been told by a reliable source that the characters themselves in those TV shows that were not in any of the other films will be appearing in any way. Now, again, this is also something it's still pretty early on. We know that Marvel especially is notorious for doing things last minute, for last minute reshoots, for filming extra sequences last minute as well. So there's still plenty of time for them to be like, to add that kind of stuff in there in a post-credit scene, or to add stuff in other ways, and probably just balloon their budgets even more than they already are. And that, to me, is like the bigger takeaway about everything going on with Doomsday, is how much money they are spending. They're giving, before any like actual like residuals and stuff, I want to say that Robert Downey Jr. alone is getting $100 million minimum for both movies combined together. So he's getting at least $50 million base salary per film, and then you add on top of that any other extra revenues that he'll get after the fact. And then you add the Russos, who have an $80 million contract for both films. And so just from those three people alone, you're already talking about a massive budget. And that's before the other big actors that are going to be in this film. Even the bigger actors that are going to be in smaller cameos or smaller performances, like the older actors especially, they're going to have a high price tag because they can demand it and their agents can demand it. So this film, I think, has a chance to hit $1 billion, but it also has a chance to be one of the biggest box office flops ever to hit $1 billion because it's going to cost, I think, minimum $500 million production budget before marketing. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that they're trying to get a trailer for this ready in time for the release of Avatar 3, which is in their big release in December. So like they want to have that kind of thing to not only draw people in to see Avatar because they want to see the trailer, but also, the people who are going to see Avatar, they want to start building up hype for this movie. So it makes sense that right now they're trying to get a actual trailer together. But I find it interesting that they're basically just throwing all their Disney Plus characters under the bus. It seems like they're just nobody cares about these characters. And this is also coming off of their recent release of the Wonder Man trailer. So they're still pushing these Disney Plus shows, but they're basically telling everyone hey, they don't matter. You don't have to watch them. So just go to the movies. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because I feel like Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers, they're also producers on the film. So they're getting a producer fee for that stuff. So it's not just about, their initial jobs, they're getting some back end on that as well.
Was this the movie that they did the reveal with all the chairs with everybody's name on the back and there was 500 of them?
Yes.
So, but they had all those characters on that trailer, didn't they?
No. Gary said that Gary said that it was mostly centered around Dr. Doom, and he was Robert Downey Jr. was basically the star of the trailer, and he also one of the interesting things
I'm not talking about the trailer. I'm talking about that teaser thing that came out 5-6 months ago, maybe longer, about everybody that was involved in this movie, or was it a different movie? Because there was 150 of them, and I'm pretty sure that they had all of the TV character actors in that.
Well, I mean, what's weird, Dutch, is that so there have been lots of reports, for instance, Alan Cummings basically talked about his role as a Nightcrawler in the movie, where he basically shot for 3 days on a green screen with 0 actors. And he had to use a bunch of different names in his dialogue because they didn't know who was going to be in the scene with him. So they might be shooting stuff with these TV actors, but just not putting it in the film. So
because it was all the X-Men and all those characters that were in that too. So
X-Men, what was it, Shang-Chi? Who cares about that guy? Right? But it is interesting that one of the weird things about this is Brie Larson was in The Marvels, which is a movie, and there's talk that anyone who is in a movie is going to be in Avengers Doomsday, but that means that Ms. Marvel and was it Monica Rambeau were both in The Marvels. So I don't think they're going to be in Avengers Doomsday, but they were in a Marvel movie. So there's all types of weird stuff going on.
Also, the end credit scene for the Marvels, she ended up in the X-Men universe with that weird CGI beast.
Yeah, that's true too. But Marvel doesn't seem to be too concerned about the end credit scenes anymore. It's they used to tie into stuff, and nowadays they're just kind of whatever. So. But
whatever.
I think they should do it. I think they should do an end scene someday on one of these Marvel movies where they have a Hulk shilling Twinkies. Remember the last page Twinkie cartoons that they would have in comic books back in the day?
Not really. No,
you really don't. God, you're 12. Okay.
I used to collect comics. I don't know what you're talking about. So,
anyone ever buy those X-ray glasses? They didn't work. Huh?
Nope. But I had those.
Yeah.
Because you have the little ad where you can sell gift cards, or not gift cards, but you can sell Christmas cards and birthday cards with the thing,
That's
and you
true.
could earn rewards if you
Yeah.
become the door-to-door
Yeah.
salesman.
I remember that.
You have to mail in proof of purchases and wait for 6 months to get your little prize.
Yeah,
Last
you had to
page of the
mail in
comic
like
book. That's right,
like
Anthony Mark.
1,000 little barcodes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, guess what's even less profitable than Marvel right now? We're talking about Star Wars.
Oh God.
Oh, great.
Yes. So, guys,
Remember when
tell
Dutch used to be known by a different name,
I
and
do.
then it got so bad he changed his name,
I changed my
and
name.
yet we're still talking about Star Wars. Why?
Don't you
Well, guys-
dead name him. Don't you do it.
I almost did.
I know.
It'll all be Mr. Kadish's fault.
Yes. I have no problem dead naming people, by the way. But speaking of dead naming, Ben Solo. So there's two aspects to this story that we're going to cover in this segment. The first one is that Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh recently came out and revealed that they had been kind of like planning a Ben Solo film called The Hunt for Ben Solo, where somehow Kylo Ren returns, even though like his body literally disappeared at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. And basically he goes on some type of redemption arc, even though the redemption arc for him ended at the end of Rise of Skywalker. That's neither here nor there. But basically, Adam Driver said that it was one of the coolest projects he'd ever been a part of. They hired actual screenwriters. They actually wrote a script. Apparently, everyone at Lucasfilm was on board, and they were like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this." And then Bob Iger steps in. And he's like, "No." And then like the project just died. And apparently, apparently the project is officially dead at Lucasfilm right now as well, which is why they were comfortable about coming out and talking about it. And Adam Driver basically said that, it was a passion project of mine. I really love playing this character. Steven Soderbergh, we were going to have like callbacks to like Empire Strikes Back in terms of like theme and storytelling. And it was going to be a smaller, more personal thing. It wouldn't have been as expensive as some of these other Star Wars films. And everyone was ready to go. And then the evil Disney Empire said, we don't know how Kylo Ren is still alive. And so like they basically said to fuck off with it.
I thought all these actors like were talking mad trash after the movies came out and how they never wanted to play these characters again for Disney.
Adam Driver never did that. But I think that was more like John Boyega was like kind of like at the forefront of that. Anyway, so when he came out with the AP interview and said this about this movie, and Steven Soderbergh seemed to basically back this up on his Blue Sky account. Basically every Reylo that had been hibernating for the past couple years.
Oh God, you
rose up.
Reylos. Okay.
Yeah, rose up and started this AstroTurf campaign to not only rehab Kathleen Kennedy's image as the CEO of Lucasfilm, but also like they're doing these stunts like flying like a plane with a banner that says release the hunt for Solo or something like that, trying to basically get this movie to happen now that it's officially dead. And it's kind of interesting because we had this basically what happened was we had this guy who we have this Geeks and Gamers article that covers this den of nerds. I want to say it's like a podcast or live stream or something like that, where the guy who runs the website Den of Nerds basically has this like insider source that revealed to him, in his opinion, credibly, that Bob Iger has like low key been like tanking the Star Wars franchise, and Kathleen Kennedy is actually innocent because she's been fighting to keep George Lucas's vision alive and all this other bullshit. This led kind of like this AstroTurf movement on Twitter, where you have this one tweet where basically it says she deserves an apology, and this like basically mobilized all the Kennedy bots to come out in support of like all the Star Wars movies she made, all the movies that she was a producer on, all this other stuff, and it also mobilized all the detractors to come out and basically say like, no, she's still to blame. So it created a big dust up on the interwebs. But what was interesting about this stuff, guys, is that if we go to the Den of Nerds story here on the excellent Geeks and Gamers website, by the way. Shout out to Geeks and Gamers. I mean, this is actually a really good article.
Great article, bad logo.
There you go. Well, they can't be perfect, Brian. They have to have.
That's
They
true.
have to have.
It's what keeps us real, man.
Exactly. But basically, they have this this inside source that the guy says talked about how Bob Iger always hated George Lucas, and that he basically refused to do George Lucas's scripts for the sequel trilogy. He kind of like checked Kathleen Kennedy's instincts at every turn. He made the Obi-Wan Kenobi series into a TV series instead of a movie. All types of stuff. He wanted to cancel the Clone Wars cartoon show. Like they also, like any movies from the Old Republic video game that they might have adapted, he put the kibosh on. And I want to give the panel, and Dutch, since you already know my take on this, you're not allowed to answer. I want to give the panel.
Well, I'm going to answer. Go ahead, but I'm going to go first.
No. You'll go last. Okay?
No, I'm going to go first.
You already know my thoughts. Odin and Brian, who do you think this inside source for Den of Nerds is?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Gary Bueller.
My gosh.
Well, I mean, that's not Nerdrotic. That's some other guy. So, okay.
Bueller.
Maybe there's a Bueller that works at Lucasfilm.
I have no idea. The janitor, the guy who takes the trash out. I don't know, man.
All right, Odin, who do you think it is?
I like to joke and say Ryan Johnson, but more realistically, Pod's got to be Pablo Hidalgo.
That's exactly who.
That's who I said.
It's always
100%.
It's always the one involved.
100%. It's Pablo Hidalgo who's like talking to Disney or the Den of Nerds guys. Like it's just so obvious because he's like, oh, this guy told us about details about Ahsoka, and they all turned out to be right. And he's deep inside Lucasfilm and blah blah blah. For those of you in the audience who don't know who Pablo Hidalgo is, Matt Vader.
I don't.
I just dead named you.
That's
can
okay.
you give a rundown?
I don't know the guy's history, dude. He's just, all I know is he used to just be like some little internet twerp who somehow got hired into being the all-knowing lore master of Lucasfilm somehow. I don't know. He was in the group, right? He was in the story group or some shit. And
yeah. So Pablo Hidalgo, back when Twitter was controlled by people other than Elon Musk, was very active in naming and shaming fans. He was kind of like the unofficial historian under George Lucas's reign at Lucasfilm, and then once Kathleen Kennedy took over, he kind of rose through the ranks. He became a member of the Lucasfilm Story Group, which worked with Ryan Johnson on The Last Jedi. He then became the head of the Story Group, where he is currently, and essentially, like, he's basically Kathleen Kennedy's biggest simp, right? Yeah. He was one of the people who led the charge to get Gina Carano fired and canceled, of course, allegedly. But it's kind of funny because we've, like, just being in the space, like, we have inside sources. Everyone has inside sources, right? But we've had inside sources that have pitched stuff to Lucasfilm in the past, and basically it's the same three people. With occasionally Pablo Hidalgo joining in on the calls, but it's Kathleen Kennedy, it's Dave Filoni, and it's what's her name, Carrie Beck, who was like the vice president of Lucasfilm or something like that. Or I feel like she also used to be head of the story group, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, like, they had this triumvirate that would listen to all these different pitches, and people from all over Hollywood who wanted to work with Star Wars would go and, like, do these Zoom calls or face-to-face meetings where they would kind of pitch their ideas for Star Wars to these people. And apparently it was like such a hard sell and such a toxic thing that a lot of Hollywood upper echelon people got turned off by it. In fact, we have some, because of this Ben Solo thing, we have some interesting revelations about, like, other big name Hollywood people who got turned down for Star Wars stuff, not the least of which was in this tweet. It was David Fincher, who was originally going to do, like, a big Star Wars franchise movie, and he got turned down. We know that luckily Zack Snyder got turned down, but basically everyone in Hollywood is very much like, oh, we don't want to work with Lucasfilm because it's being run by like very controlling idiots. And of course, a lot of Pablo Hidalgo's leaks to this Den of Nerd guy was really about trying to put the blame for Star Wars' current state on Bob Iger, and basically saying like they're responsible for the hatred of Luke Skywalker, they're responsible for all this other stuff, and they basically put the kibosh on this because they just didn't get how Ben Solo could come back to life. But what's interesting is like there's all these other extenuating circumstances that just shows that this is gaslighting taken to its like biggest extreme, where essentially around the time that this decision came down to put the kibosh on the Ben Solo movie, Adam Driver had just come out with what was it, 64 67, that his sci-fi movie where he's like stranded on this planet filled with angry alien monsters, and also like the Ferrari movie that he did, the biopic. And both of those were like very big disappointments at the box office, right? Adam Driver hasn't headlined a successful movie as a leading man ever, right? So and also Steven Soderbergh's involvement in this movie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Steven Soderbergh's filmography. Like he's an art house director, right? Like he does very arty movies. He's had a couple of minor successes, but those were all based off of the cast involved, like the Ocean's 11 movies. Like that people didn't go to those because Steven Soderbergh directed them. They went
right.
to them
it's because of the 11 celebrities that everyone loved. Yeah,
exactly.
You think Rob Reiner pitched a Star Wars movie? That would have been all right.
I doubt it. But the idea here that they would ever hand the reins to Star Wars to Steven Soderbergh, whose only science fiction film was such a huge disaster. It was Solaris. The only reason it made any money was because George Clooney was involved in that movie. But it's like one of the most boring, stupid science fiction films I think anybody's ever seen. And even recently, like he made this like haunted house movie that's like, it's not. It's like told from the ghost point of view, and it's like very slow and kind of like boring and stuff like that. This is not the guy you want directing a Star Wars film. And that, in addition to Adam Driver's lack of box office success as a leading man and headliner and stuff like that, and also the fact that like their whole thing is like, oh, it was a completed script. We have a completed script, guys. It's like, well, first of all, that shouldn't be the exception to the rule. But in addition to that, when you have a completed script, you can see all the problems with it before you go forward, right? So that might have actually worked against them in this situation. And in fact, Steven Soderbergh said on Blue Sky that he asked Kathleen Kennedy if there had ever been a scenario where Disney had a completed script and refused to go forward with the movie, and Kathleen Kennedy said no. I mean, like there are tons of movies with completed scripts all the time that get slapped down. So like I don't know if that's like another thing to be proud of when it comes to the story. But I think we also need to point out that a lot of the stuff just doesn't math when it comes to like what they're talking about when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy, right? Because early on, we know that for a fact that Rian Johnson was working with the story group writing The Last Jedi as The Force Awakens was being filmed. There was no outline in place because Bob Iger was pushing them to like get a Star Wars movie out every year. So they didn't have time to sit down and actually plan out a trilogy. So they were kind of writing it as they went. And Kathleen Kennedy has been on record as loving Rian Johnson's take. Rian Johnson was told that like he did not get any edicts from on high about like how he was supposed to treat Luke Skywalker. In fact, there was a big dust up between what's that guy? He's Alex's favorite director. Do you know who I'm talking about, Dutch? The
guy who made Sahara? No, I don't have any idea.
It was Wachowski sisters.
What was that?
Wachowskis.
Wachowskis. No, it was the guy who was originally going to do like the Rise of Skywalker segment. He did Jurassic Park or Jurassic World.
Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, Colin Trevorrow. Thank you, Odin. And there's that big dust up where basically like Colin Trevorrow didn't agree with Ryan Johnson's take on it because he wanted to, make Luke Skywalker the hero and kind of focus his movie on that. And so like Ryan Johnson unilaterally made story making decisions that were not brought down on high from Bob Iger about this stuff that affected everything going forward. In fact, like I'm pretty sure you can trace like the downfall of Star Wars to Ryan Johnson directly. And Kathleen Kennedy was so enamored with Ryan Johnson that she gave him a trilogy before the movie even came out. And of course, like that hasn't materialized yet. But like the fact that she liked what he did so much that she was like willing to reward him for it with 3 more Star Wars movies just goes to show that I don't think any of this stuff that they're talking about in regards to Bob Iger being the real villain here for destroying Star Wars is the case. And also the fact that, you had the first huge disappointment with Solo, a Star Wars story. And then, and here's something that I'm sure Odin knows this, the cost of Rise of Skywalker, right, was just revealed because of the UK tax credit stuff. Rise of Skywalker cost almost $600 million.
Oh my God.
$600 million. I think in this article, it says something like after you take into account all the tax credits and stuff like that, it only like ended up grossing like a $31 million profit or something insane.
Which is actually not true at all.
Yeah. Well, it's Forbes, so you have to take everything with a grain of salt. But the idea here that basically he gave the keys to Kathleen Kennedy. She fucked it up royally. He had to kind of step in and start micromanaging. Also, the fact that he stepped down, Bob Chapek was in charge, and she was still fucking shit up. It wasn't like Bob Chapek was coming in and mandating this stuff either. So Kathleen Kennedy has this long track record of basically like just screwing over stuff, announcing movies that never get made or get canceled like immediately after they announce them. She's a terrible studio executive. Now you can say, oh, she's a brilliant producer, even though like she was a line producer, which is like a logistical producer on most of these things. And all the movies that she's known for are like Steven Spielberg and, George Lucas movie, like more talented people who were like kind of like at the driving head of those films. She was just a facilitator to make sure that the trains ran on time. Like she had no creative input on any of those movies that she's like so well known for. And the idea that she's like, not responsible for the current state of Star Wars, to me, is the ultimate form of gaslighting. And I really do think that the rumors are that she's stepping down at the end of the year. And I think that she's trying to kind of like rehab her legacy with Star Wars by saying like, oh, I was always on George Lucas's side. And, oh, I didn't want to make these decisions. And these really aren't my fault. But then explain Willow and Indiana Jones.
We
right?
have long memories.
Exactly. Like she repeated these mistakes with all the other Lucasfilm
Bob
properties.
Iger's
It wasn't just
Bob
Star
Iger's fault.
Exactly.
I am very happy that Bob Iger has stepped up and taken responsibility for what he really did. Because, Queen Kathy is the greatest producer to have ever existed and lived.
The best.
The best. She's the best. And how dare everybody, after all these decades, talk trash about her? Because it wasn't her fault, guys. It was not her fault. She was being controlled by the evil corporate overlord, Bob Iger, the entire time. Because, that's what he does. He has his tendrils in every single thing. In fact, we could probably, blame Bob Iger for everything, for the national debt, for foreign wars, for, we could trace it all back to him, for the House of Mouse, everything goes back to Bob Iger.
Definitely his fault.
It's not Kathleen Kennedy, guys. It's Bob Iger. So.
Well, at least Bob doesn't abuse his dogs, allegedly.
Yeah, that's true. Piker. Oh, son of a bitch.
All right. Well, I want to throw this to Brian to start with. Brian, what do you think about this whole thing with like the Ben Solo movie? Do you believe that, Adam Driver's take on that Disney just like put the kibosh on it because they didn't understand how he was still alive? And what do you think about Kathleen Kennedy's rehabilitation tour? Do you think there's anything to it?
I just don't understand who wants this. Like, are there really, like you said, people came out of the woodwork, like a bunch of, are these real people or are they just
I'm
like
pretty
bots?
sure they're bot accounts. Yeah. Mostly bots because it feels very astroturfy.
Yeah, I don't know a single person, even like the normies that don't follow the news, that aren't.
Well, there's JM Shugs who just like loves everything Star Wars.
I mean, yeah. There's some glazers out there, but I mean, most people, even the people that don't follow the culture war, they're not steeped in it. Like they're over Star Wars. Almost everyone I know is over Star Wars, unless they're like a 60-year-old grandma that just doesn't know anymore that no one wants Star Wars shit anymore. Like they're over it. Like I still get the random older family member that will give me a T-shirt. Like, look at I got you an R2D2 T-shirt. I'm like, oh God.
But my grandkids will like give me like a Darth Vader thing every once in a while, and I'm all like, thanks, this is awesome.
Right? Yeah, it's the people that don't know that the culture has shifted away from Star Wars and like they want easy gift ideas. Like those people they don't know. I get it. But those people are also not the people that are looking forward to a Kylo Renn movie. They don't know who the hell Kylo Renn is.
That shelf back there full of Funko Pops and other things is all stuff for my grandkids. That it's just like I got Valentine's Day Darth Vader back there, all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh, bro, I had to make like a formal Facebook request. I'm like, look, I appreciate anyone that buys me a gift. It's huge. It's so kind of you to go out of your way to buy me a gift. I appreciate it, but please save your money because if you're gonna buy me Star Wars stuff, like it's gonna go in a box somewhere, and I'm gonna label it as thank you to those people. But I'm not. I don't. There's no space for it anymore in my heart or on my shelf. So I don't know who wants this movie. I don't know who's glazing for it, who really wants this to happen. Disney needs to just take a Star Wars break, dude. Yeah, just take a break.
What they should have done is done a Kylo Ren prequel about him when he was a kid, like 14, 15 years old. And it could have been about him and his emo friends having adventures in space, talking about how much life sucks and they want to kill themselves and drinking coffee at the space Denny's. That would have been pretty good.
Listen to 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is like if they just take a break from it, stop announcing stuff, stop trying to get the community interested in what you're doing. Take a long break. Make us miss it. Make us miss it a little bit, because right now everything produced has been pretty bad, except for, Skeleton Key was okay, but
Skeleton Crew.
Sorry,
so
whatever.
Good, so good you don't even remember the name of it.
I forgot the name. Yeah,
So,
I didn't say it was good. Hold up, Alden. Hold up, mother. I didn't say it was good. I said okay. As in, listen, if that was generic Star Wars Skeleton Crew, it wouldn't have made any difference. Star Wars didn't need to be in the title.
Put it on hiatus until 2050. I'll be dead by then. I don't have to look at it. That's perfectly okay with me. That's just
and like the few people that are still around, they're like super hyped about the prequels. Will like
you heard it here first, guys. Dutch Butters predicted his own death. So.
I just think it's funny. Like Star Wars has gotten so bad, you guys, that there are people talking about the prequels as if they were gold standard. And I'm like, look, I was around. I'm sorry. Let me put my camera on for this. I was around during the prequels. No one liked them. The few people that did were very young children. No one actually liked those things. But it's gotten so bad that there are like adults, like people Dutch's age, being like, remember how great the prequels were? And I'm like, whoa, it's gotten so bad. Your memory of dog crap has become roses. The prequels were not good movies. They were not good movies. But we're talking about them as if they were, because compared to what we've been getting, they're masterpieces.
You're gonna invoke the wrath of the apologists.
Sorry, I'm sorry. The prequels were not good movies.
I'm just putting.
If you like them, I'm glad for you. Compared to current stuff, they are.
How dare you, Brian? The prequels were works of art. What are you talking?
They're infinitely better than Superman. But what we can say at the very
least,
shut up. But no, I actually have the same opinion. I don't think they're good films. I think they're hilarious though. So I love them for just how funny bad they are. But I will push back at one point. There absolutely were people
like, oh my god,
Misa Yo-Yo 7.
It's so racist.
It is a decoy. That's my favorite. The Trade Federation are my favorite characters ever to be
Trade
put on
Federation.
Star Wars because of the Asian stereotype. It's
well,
good.
Like apparently 1,000 years prior to that movie, right? Like they didn't have the accent, according to the acolyte. So
Still, Ricky's
right. Ricky's right though. The lightsaber duels were great.
But I will say this much: it wasn't just kids that liked it, though. There were adults at the time that did like it. I think there was a large portion who didn't. So I think you're correct that there's a lot of people that are kind of retroactively looking at it through the rose-tinted glasses. But I will say right now, there's a person named Jeremy Griggs who will fight you on the prequels and has been fighting for the prequels for a long time.
Well,
good for him, man.
If his taste in movies is similar to his taste in logos, apparently he just doesn't have a leg to stand on.
His logo's nice. I love that guy, but his logos are bad.
I don't understand this joke.
Have you ever seen the Geeks and Gamers logo, Dutch?
Yeah, it looks like the hurricane from WWE.
No, the logo is it's like basically the design looks like it is like 10 years past.
It also looks like a superhero domino mask.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like
you remember
it looks like it belongs on a MySpace page, dude.
It's just the like that's the design. It's just the graphic of it is outdated.
It's a G and then a reverse G.
That's part of the charm. It's part of the charm of it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on a second. I got.
But Brian, one of the interesting things about this was the reveal that apparently there was a very different plan for The Mandalorian, which is like the next Star Wars movie that's kind of like on the cusp of coming out, which is basically they were saying that, okay, the Grogu arc was done after season 2. Season 3, it was actually going to be Boba Fett stepping in, and he was going to be the main character. It was going to be different from Book of Boba Fett. It was going to be him actually doing bounty hunting. But then like they made a change with like the Book of Boba Fett. And then season 4, it was going to shift to Bo-Katan as the Mandalorian, and Din Djarin would come in as like a minor character in that, which is kind of what we got. But at the same time, like like they couldn't give up that Grogu money, so like they had to bring him back and reunite him with Din Djarin and
that sweet Grogu money.
Yeah, basically that was Bob Iger's call to kind of like scrap what Jon Favreau had planned for the Mandalorian stuff and go in this different direction. So just thought that was kind of interesting. But I want to throw this to Odin, because Odin, that $600 million Rise of Skywalker budget was very shocking to a lot of people. And that movie, it actually brought in like $1 billion. I think it's 1.077 billion was its box office take. But after splitting it with the theaters and stuff like that, according to this article, it only made $48 million profit at the box office, so close to $50 million off of a $600 million budget. So can you break this down for us? Who's lying? What are the real numbers? All that good stuff.
Yeah, because is this the article from Caroline Reed?
Yes.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. I love her. She's one of the only ones being honest about numbers these days. And I remember from the article that the way she laid it out was after tax incentives, the budget for the film, like the net spend on the film, was about $489 million. So you're still spending $600 million to make this movie. And then with tax incentives, the real spend is actually $489. And then if you just stop there, if you were to stop there, just taking the budget and then run with the numbers that they made, and your typical, and that's actually going into 50-50 split, not the more realistic 55-40-25 split, that only then, before any marketing, it would be about $30 or $40 million in net profit. So when you take marketing into account, this thing was a massive bomb. You then add into the fact that it made a lot of money internationally where it does not get as much return versus domestic. According to the metrics that I have, it was $230 million worth of losses when you actually account for how much the spend was, how much the total cost was with marketing and everything else a part of it.
That's insane.
So I think that Caroline's article was focused mostly on what it would have been had it just stopped there. But with Disney, it never just stops there, right? It always goes on. They always have to spend an insane amount of money on their marketing costs. And especially in today's world, they continue to overspend on these movies. So it's just hilarious to hear like, oh, the attempt to gaslight the attempt to try to make Bob Iger out to be the bad guy. And it's funny because, like, where we're standing, it's like, no, they're all the bad guys. Like, I'm not defending Bob Iger. Bob Iger is terrible. He is a big part of the problem as far as why these things are happening. But Kathleen Kennedy is even more responsible because she's the actual direct head of this company and has been making these decisions, including firing like almost half the directors she's ever worked with. There's never been, to my knowledge, a film that she has worked on, especially Star Wars era, that has not had reshoots, has not had behind the scenes turmoil, that has not led to additional cost. That's just what she does. That is the legacy she is going to leave behind, is a chaotic production experience that ended up destroying one of the biggest IPs in history. When Disney bought the brand, it was because they knew they were typically seen as a girls' brand. They were sometimes able to get into the male demographic, but usually it was like the kids movies, and so it was like the kids male demographic and not the actual older male demographic. That was what Star Wars was trying to bring in, was trying to bridge that gap. And what they did was they tried to turn it into a girl brand, destroyed the brand in the process. And it's, again, history books are going to write in film history about how catastrophic all of the decisions she was a big part of. Bob Iger's a part of it too, but she primarily responsible for.
I mean, real quick, Bob Iger wasn't the Forces female guy, right? That came down to the Nike CEO and Kathleen Kennedy kind of like teaming up for that thing. But also, famously, Kathleen Kennedy decanonized the entire EU. And then came out and said, the problem with Star Wars is that there's no source material to draw from. Like in the same breath, right?
Yep.
The problem with Star Wars, there's no source material to pull from.
We had nothing to
kill
work
all
on.
the books.
We had to make it up as we went. That's all.
I know, exactly.
Tell that to like a fan too, who's been reading source material for like 30 years, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's the source material that kept that franchise alive between the original trilogy and the prequels. Like that was an even bigger gap than Star Trek had. My
favorite book was Tale from Jabba's Palace, dude. Great books.
Think about just how bad this was, though. As you just said, they had a golden goose. They could have been making billion after billion after billion after billion. They had an entire framework to work with. They didn't have to go exactly where George Lucas wanted to go. George Lucas, again, especially towards the end with the prequels, was going in some weird directions that I don't think was very wise. The whole midichlorian thing, for instance, that was stupid. But at the end of the day, you don't have to go there. There were all these independent writers in the EU that you could have said, let's adapt this story. Let's adapt this story. They could, as of right now, they could be on their like 6th or 7th trilogy of movies that were all making money, but they destroyed it. It's again the biggest mistakes ever made in film production history have been made under the Kathleen Kennedy regime under Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I mean, the most brain dead decision would have been, hey, let's take the TRON trilogy and make that the prequel or the sequel trilogy, right? Because the layout was right there. They just needed to adapt those books. They didn't need to start from square one. And the decision to allow JJ to basically just remake episode 4 with like different characters and different settings and stuff. It was so dumb. But Bob Iger was also responsible for forcing J.J. Abrams to come back for Rise of Skywalker. So
we all saw how that worked out.
Yeah. But what was interesting about this Forbes article to me, Odin, is that she talked about how, a lot of people talk about how licensing and, tie-ins and stuff like that actually increase the revenue of something like Rise of Skywalker. But then she goes on to say, it's like, and if you accept that as true, then you also have to accept the fact that marketing spend detracts from that. And Disney doesn't have to disclose what they spend on marketing. And so like you said, like it wouldn't be a surprise if, like it turns out it's actually a $200 million stinker in the, red category. But even if you just look at like Dial of Destiny, right? Like that was another one that was probably close to like $600 million, right? So, I mean, like she just has a track record of losing money. They had to erase Willow to get a tax credit because they were losing so much money on Lucasfilm properties. I mean, like it's really, really bad. And to say that, everyone in Hollywood doesn't want to work for Lucasfilm. They don't want to make Star Wars movies because she's such a terrible person to work with. I mean, that's what we've been hearing from our sources. I don't know about you guys. But just like one thing after another just shows that Kennedy is basically trying to gaslight everyone about like her tenure at Lucasfilm. And it's so dumb. But I want to get Dutch's take on this too. Dutch, what do you think about the Ben Solo movie and Kathleen Kennedy trying to rehab her image?
I already told you. I think it was a terrible idea. Nobody was going to watch it to begin with. Nobody was interested. And Star Wars sucks now, man. I don't know what you want from me here with this, because we've talked about Star Wars ad nauseum at this point. And I'm kind of looking at Discord over here, completely checked out of your stupid topic for today. So.
But that's every Saturday, Dutch.
Yeah. No, we haven't talked about Star Wars for a while. We haven't.
I meant you checking out and looking at the
Discord.
Discord.
Yeah, because he's talking about AI weirdness or crypto or something. I don't know. But
you love crypto.
I like to lose my money on it.
The currency or the dog?
You tell me what to buy. I took all my money out of Doge and just put it in.
You fool.
Yeah, I know it's probably pretty stupid, but at least I don't have it in Disney stock like Brian does. So
didn't Doge just hit $1 or something like that?
I don't.
No way. If it hit $1,
I would have got a notification on that one.
Yeah, I would be in the streets praising.
No, and Star Wars,
I can finally sell my Disney stock,
bro. I got like 50,000 of those things, dude.
I mean, look, Star Wars is just, it's gone. It's dead. It doesn't exist in my head anymore. I can hang on to the stuff from when I was younger, which is the first 6 movies, and basically everything past that I can do with or without. It just doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm completely apathetic about Star Wars, and like I've said 100 times on this show, it makes me sad that I feel that way, because it was a big part of me for a large part of my life. Look at all this shit behind me. This is all Star Wars shit. I don't know what to do with any of it. I really don't.
It's like your version of Disney stock.
It really is. It's just, I think I'm just going to box it all up pretty soon. You guys are going to come on to this show one day, and all the stuff behind me is going to be gone and replaced with something else someday. Because I just want to go put it in a storage unit and forget it's there and let my kids discover it 50 years from now, and maybe they can sell it for something. But yeah, it's just a sad thing, and I'm never gonna forgive Kathleen Kennedy for destroying this franchise, because she has, and they can try to do all the glazing over her legacy as they want. It's not going to change the fact that she destroyed this franchise, and she stabbed George Lucas in the back, and it just is what it is. I don't know what else to say. It really makes me sad, because it is what it is. It's gone. It's dead. They can make all the crappy Mandalorian movies from the TV show that they want. We can dress up the cartoons with humans and go, look at this. This is cool. But they're still just Dave Filoni cartoons with real people. So whatever.
I also think it's
screw Star Wars. I'm done with Star Wars. So.
It's interesting that George Lucas came out recently and basically said he's washed his hands of everything Star Wars related. But the blame is squarely on his shoulders, because after the sequel or prequel trilogy, he was very unsure of himself. He didn't like all the backlash after years of being glazed by Star Wars fans and being told that he's a genius and all this other stuff, to have his 3 movies just be some of the worst science fiction cinema in the past 100 years.
If you want to take get really mad, or you can get mad at me for saying this, but and I've said this before, I kind of blame George Lucas for selling it to begin with.
No, he handpicked Kathleen Kennedy, right? Yeah. She is his pick to basically be the shepherd of his legacy, and look at what she did with it. So George Lucas just doesn't make very good decisions. I think he has a long track record of that. But now that it's been run into the ground, he's basically like, I'm done. I don't care about it anymore. I got my money. I cashed out.
Yeah.
But guys, speaking of cashing out, Warner Brothers. Definitely for sale now. Now, we've been talking about this for a couple episodes. When I first brought it up, that Skydance was looking to buy Warner Brothers, there were people on the panel who were like, that's never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But recently, it's been made very public that Warner Brothers Discovery is entertaining buyout offers, in addition to a bunch of other stuff. Now, if you just read tweets about this without diving deeper into it, you're like, oh, Warner Brothers is now on the chopping block. They're now for sale. But what's actually happening is, so Skydance, aka Paramount, basically made 3 different offers to buy out Warner Brothers Discovery, and each offer was rejected. Right. And but then the board who rejected these buyout offers are like, well, the reason we're rejecting them is because we think that we can still be more profitable with our original plan to split the company into 2 different businesses and basically offload a bunch of debt and then like grow the stock price of like, the good company spinoff, stuff like that. And basically Dave Zaslav, or is it David Zaslav?
Zaslav, the Zaz man.
Yeah, the Zaz man. So in that bifurcation strategy, Zaslav gets to remain CEO of the main good company, right? Like the growth company with all like the assets and stuff like that. So there's a lot of benefit to kind of like sticking with the plan from the board's point of view. However, they did say that even though this is kind of like our preference, what we're willing to do is we're willing to entertain offers so that if something comes along that's better than this plan, we will seriously consider it. Now
they have to legally.
Yeah. But here's the thing about this though. So like Skydance, which is David Ellison, I believe, or is that his
David
son?
Ellison.
Okay. So David Ellison is the son of the guy who owns Oracle,
Larry Ellison.
Larry Ellison. Thank you, Brian. He's the son of Larry Ellison, who is a multi-billionaire, super rich. He's got money to burn. And there was talk that Skydance was willing to consider an $80 billion buyout of Warner Brothers, which is insane.
Well, it's a hostile takeover, dude.
Yeah, if you consider that that Disney acquired Fox for $50 billion, right? Like $80 billion is like way up there. But with this recent announcement that the board's willing to entertain offers, you all of a sudden have Netflix, Amazon, Comcast, NBC Universal, all this stuff, who are now considering possibly going after this. But the thing about the Paramount deal, which was interesting, is that they were making an offer before the company split. Whereas if they waited for them to split, they could probably get one of those companies for cheaper if they made like a buyout offer at that point. So they were actually overpaying it, but still the overpayment for like their stock price wasn't apparently overpaid enough. So one of the interesting aspects of this though is that so with Skydance taking over Paramount, right? Larry Ellison, Larry Ellison, the father guy.
Oh, Larry Ellison, yeah.
So he is in the middle of acquiring TikTok, the US version of TikTok anyway. So he's going to be the one who controls that. And they have plans to fold the TikTok business in with Paramount and stuff like that, and just have this like powerhouse, like media company. And if they were to buy Warner Brothers, they would be consolidating like 2 of the biggest studios in Hollywood, in addition to like one of the biggest social media apps on the planet. And so like the whole thing just, reeks of like, major consolidation. But the thing that the New York Post kind of like wrote about recently, which I found very interesting, is that Trump admin likes Paramount, Skydance, and race to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, points to the Ellisons. And Larry Ellison has been a big supporter of Trump, has been backing them. Trump has been kind of like favoring them for like the TikTok deal and all this other stuff. And the point of this article is that if you have NBC Universal, which is so anti-Trump, they have MSNBC and all this other stuff. If you have Netflix, which is basically the Obama, streaming network, and all these other very like left-leaning major media companies trying to buy Warner Brothers, they're going to face a lot of regulatory hurdles because the Trump administration doesn't like them, and they can hold it up for God knows how long. But if Warner Brothers really wants to cash in, they would go with, Paramount because, Trump likes those guys, right? So there's all this kind of like speculation as to like the politics behind this and stuff like that. But it definitely looks like at a certain point, Warner Brothers might get sold off. And so I want to throw this to the guy who owns stock in Warner Brothers on the panel, Brian. Brian, what's your take on this? I know that you were kind of skeptical about them being sold off at the beginning, but do you think that this might be a good thing?
Yeah, it could be a good thing. They have to bring these kind of deals to their shareholders because Warner Brothers is a publicly traded company. So they have a duty to entertain buyouts that are going to make their shareholders money. Additionally, this is also a good play to get a bidding war going. So if they're going to face a hostile takeover like that, where they're basically like, we're going to buy you for this much. By the way, Elon Musk did the same thing to Twitter. He put an offer on the table that was so great that they couldn't say no because they're a publicly traded company. Well, this also gets a potential bidding war going. And it also gives them time during this bidding war to maybe split up the two companies, offload some debt, and make themselves even more profitable as two separate entities. That's number one. Number two, the Trump administration thing is all hearsay. First off, never believe anything MSNBC ever has to say, ever, in regards to Trump. Now, if they talk about how the sky is blue, yeah, okay. They talk about something that's not Trump related, maybe you can base their opinions on facts. But when it comes to the Trump administration, these people are 100% biased. They hate Trump. They hate the administration. They hate Republicans. That MSNBC has just been taken over by gay malware. So the thing is this. When you see an article that says, a senior official at the White House told me, you know what that tells me? You're lying.
Maybe
we don't believe you. When your source is some random person that may or may not work at the White House, F off. Don't believe you for a second. Especially when the claim is so grandiose and so corrupt, it only makes the Trump administration and Larry Ellison, etc., look bad. Don't believe you. And you know what? The sad part is, he could be right. Maybe they actually do have an actual insider in the White House, a senior Trump official that gave him this information. Maybe it's totally corrupt. But because of MSNBC's horrible, biased, totally out there track record, we can't trust a word they say. So when MSNBC comes out and says something negative about the Trump administration, guess what? It's probably bullshit.
Interesting take on that. As a stockholder, Brian, are you excited about these developments?
Yeah, I would actually rather them split. So if they split, then I can get I can double my money. So what happens in a split is going up to the split, the stock is going up and up and up, right? Because people are anticipating a split. What happens is right after a split, it gets cut in half. The value gets cut in half. So let's say it's at $20 right now. Then you get split, and you get double your shares. Now they're each worth $10. Well, for a brief amount of time, those shares are desperately trying to get back to where they are. They don't usually do, but they try to get back to where they were before they split. So for a brief amount of time, you have a little run, and your double shares gain value. And so if you sell at just the right time, you can triple your money. That's my plan. So I would much rather have for a split. Either way, the stock is making a run right now because of all this talk. And the crazy part is, for a long time, Warner Brothers Discovery was considered a junk stock. I don't know if you remember this.
Yep.
It's a junk stock because they hated David Zaslav.
They got their credit rating downgraded, essentially.
Right. So it was considered a junk stock, and it was like $7-8. Guess what? I bought it. When I saw the mainstream media reported as a junk stock and it dropped down to like $7, I bought a lot of it, and I felt pretty good when I sold it at $19, and then it dropped down to 14 right before the bid war happened, and I bought it again, and now it's back to 21. So suck it, libs.
Yeah, I got to buy the dip.
Brian, look, I have to point something out here really quick. This made me chuckle, and it's just a true thing, So
all right. I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, I mean, that's why Brian got that mic.
Terrible.
He's our queer panelist
That's right.
every week.
That's right.
Don't forget it.
But Dutch, I know you don't care about like industry or business or really anything outside of
leave me
video
alone,
games.
and he paused you anyway.
I know. It's like, leave me alone. Move on.
Yeah.
Business stuff goes right over my head. I don't care.
But I want to ask you, like, do you think that having like a super merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers, where you have Star Trek and DC Comics and HBO and Showtime and CNN all under one roof is a good idea?
We'll finally see that DC Star Trek crossover, dude.
Let me ask this question: will any of this stuff make any of those products better?
It might.
If we get good content out of those products, then fine.
Well,
whatever.
let me ask you a question. Can I answer your question,
DC
Dutch?
out a bit.
Hold up, Dutch. Can I answer your question? Actually, when Skydance came into Paramount, they did bring in an Apple executive to run a healthy portion of the TV the TV department, which would be Star Trek. So when our friend Kurtzman is out next year because his contract's up and he's going to go work at Amazon for Bad Robot or whatever, when he leaves and that executive has like full control, that same executive has been responsible for like every successful Apple show up till right before he left. And who knows? He has a great track record, and I think he knows what fans want. So it's entirely possible that it is for the better.
It's like all of these big mega companies and their billions and billions of dollars transactions. Like I can't relate to that. Asking me questions about that kind of stuff is like, it's just I have no knowledge or anything to add to that conversation. What I care about is I want to be entertained by these companies. I want to get non-woke material. I want them to take our IPs that have been hijacked, and I want them to return them to the place where they once were when they were loved and respected and liked. And if we can get any of that from any of this going on, then fine, do it. I don't give a shit about stocks and the splits and the prices and all this kind of stuff. I just want to be entertained, and I want to not be preached at. So that's all I want out of any of this stuff. So if that can happen, then fine, do whatever. I don't care.
Well, Dutch, what's crazy is that Warner Brothers controls the Harry Potter IP, and everything that we've been seeing out of the HBO series has been insanely woke. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if they're
going to find out on that one real quick.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering if Skydance were to take it over, and knowing that the Ellisons are a little bit more right leaning, if
a little more right leaning,
they might make changes to the Harry Potter stuff. To
it's probably too late. That thing's half produced already, isn't it? At least the first season. I don't know.
I mean, they're spending $80 billion. I think that they can reshoot some stuff.
Yeah.
But as a steward of the Harry Potter franchise, do you think that a merger would actually benefit that?
I have no idea.
I want your financial analysis of this.
It's entirely possible.
Dutch, how much do you think the stock would be worth after a deal like this would happen?
$111 billion.
Okay.
Can I be honest with you? I think that the stock is going to end up leveling out around like $12, $13
after the sale.
After the sale,
not financial advice, but all good.
Not financial advice, but that's why it'll be there for a while. And until they prove themselves, and maybe it goes up or down. I'm not sure, but it's going to level out. Right now, it's overvalued, because it's going up to a split. That's the way it works.
Can you still buy the Haktua coin? Is that still out there?
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure it is.
It's just for free though. Like you can just
spit on that thing coin.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
Odin, let's spit on some numbers here. So the idea of this merger, right? Like if Paramount does somehow is able to acquire Warner Brothers, you'd have the merging of Showtime and HBO under one roof. You'd have the UFC deal. You'd have CNN coming under the control of CBS News. You'd have, some of the biggest franchises on the planet kind of like combining under one roof. TV stations, cable stations, the Discovery Network, all this stuff in one mega studio, essentially, like something that could potentially rival Disney. So what's your take on it? Do you think that, number one, it's feasible? And number two, like, how would it change Hollywood?
I think it would make a lot of changes, not necessarily creatively, but at least on the business side of things. And everything you just mentioned is why it's going to, if it does happen where a purchase happens and they're going through all the regulatory processes, even with a more friendly Trump administration, obviously there's a lot of speculation there. It's still going to take a long time because of just how massive this would be. This would be one of the biggest deals to happen recently, more so because of the properties and the IPs that are being combined together, more so than anything else. I mean, just the CNN, CBS, like just because of the news
That's
factor,
huge,
just because of that alone, that I think would also be a big reason as to why they would probably want to lengthen this as long as they can to, make sure everything is going the way that it should, and obviously to make sure that laws are being followed, and antitrust, I think, would be a big thing that would obviously, come up with this as well, especially when you have these massive corporations and businesses,
Actually, it's not as hard
together.
because a healthy portion of WBD is Canadian, so it's going to be a little less difficult.
Even then, though, you're still dealing with a company that's going to be so much more massive than it was previously. True. Like, again, that's I think going to be the bigger factor here. I kind of hinted at it earlier, though. The thing that interests me a lot more when it comes to this story, though, is what it potentially means for the future of DC and the future of James Gunn, who even himself has said he doesn't even know what his future is going to be in this universe.
No, he didn't say that, though, man.
Yes, he did.
No, that's reported by Cosmic Book News. Stop listening to these people. He
or
never said
I'll
that.
actually just, read his
Go ahead.
quote
Go
itself.
ahead. He didn't say what he just
It says,
what you said.
whether or not that'll be me that's able to fulfill that promise depends on a lot of things in life. He's not sure.
No, that is not that. You are reading into it. That's
I'm reading his quote word for word.
Right. That's not what you just said and what he said are not the same thing.
If I stick to my plan, whether or not that'll be me that fulfills that promise depends on what happens in things in life. That is what he said. Also, listened to him say it last night as well. So
I love you, Odin.
I'm just telling you, I heard his words himself, and he's clearly implying that there is, at the very least, question as far as how long he'll be and also what his future will be in this universe.
Well, him and what's his name? I forget his name right now. His co-CEO that no one ever hears from. What's his name? Whatever. Him and his co-CEO or co-head have an 8-year contract that started 2 years ago. So they have at least 6 more years.
Well, I'm pretty sure in buyout situations that can impact contracts that are on the books.
The golden parachute is like they would rather keep him around than to lose $60 million. I mean.
Well, it's better than potentially losing more than they already have.
I don't know, man.
Fascinating.
I don't know.
Fascinating stuff.
We disagree on this one.
I think Brian just likes to argue with you.
It's not.
I think it's the other way around, actually. It's like I'm the one that brought that up. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, I don't like arguing with
I will not
him.
put Brian down on that one. That was all me.
But I do think that that Ellison would want to maybe like have his own people in charge of DC if they were to merge or like take it over.
Well, I mean, maybe, but Ellison, if you look at what they did with Skydance, they didn't fire a bunch of people when they walked into Skydance. Like, they're finishing their contracts. Unlike David Zaslav, when David Zaslav took over Warner Brothers from Discovery, he axed like a ton of stuff, just fired creatives, just came in and cleaned house, which turned Warner Brothers from a negative production machine to a positive production machine. AT&T had destroyed Warner Brothers' value, and the majority of their debt comes from the AT&T era. David Zaslav has done so much good for that company. It's unbelievable. So look at what Skydance did when they took over Paramount. Skydance didn't come in and start axing everyone. People are either finishing their contracts, they're finishing their shows, they're finishing their what they've started, and the people they've brought in to work alongside those people are just that. So they brought in people from Apple and people even from Oracle for some admin stuff. They brought in some people, but those people are working alongside the people that are still there. And Case in point, we talked about fuckface. What's his name? I'm forgetting names right now. The Star Trek, Kurtzman. Kurtzman is finishing his contract. Like, they're not cutting early. They're not cutting Starfleet Academy off at the knees. There's Starfleet Academy. You know how stupid it is still getting its 2 seasons. Because that's because it's contracted to. So I don't think that Skydance is going to make a whole lot of dramatic changes at Warner Brothers. In fact, if they did buy Warner Brothers, like let's say it happened, and here's my prediction. I think that David Zaslav might actually stay on as CEO. I think he would stay on as CEO with some help from other people in Skydance. Because looking at his track record, he's done nothing but good for Warner Brothers. Like, look at what it was before Discovery, after Discovery.
In their latest bid, they offered to keep him on as co-CEO. So
there you go.
Yeah. But Odin, one of the more interesting things to me is that, so you have Paramount Plus under the Skydance Paramount banner, and then you have HBO Max under, the Warner Brothers banner. And so if these companies were to combine, they would obviously combine those 2 streaming services with a massive content library with some of the most popular IPs on the planet. And this is something that could actually kind of like check Netflix, like start to rival Netflix in terms
100%, dude.
In terms of technology, in terms of reach, in terms of like the type of content that's available and stuff like that. So how do you think that would impact Hollywood?
It really depends on what they do with it, right? Because, you look at Paramount Plus versus HBO Max. Max is unfortunately fallen into that same trap that all the services have, but Max has always been on the pricier side of the streaming services. So that would be interesting to see whether or not they would combine those together, if they would keep HBO Max as it is, or just have it be completely fully integrated into Paramount Plus, or if Paramount Plus would use it seems to me like HBO Max is the more polished of the 2, but again, that would be a decision that they would have more, greater minds than mine to be able to actually figure out the technical side of that. But I think as far as like total IP and total content library, yes, I definitely think that how they roll that out though, and how they implement it, especially because of just the massive amount of people on different platforms, and people are already so tired of having all the streaming services and the confusion behind that, they would have to do a much better job than what Disney, for instance, is doing with the whole Disney Hulu stuff, which has been just, I think, very confusing and a giant mess. So they have to
Disney, Hulu, and Max.
Yeah.
What happens to that bundle, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I do think that Odin's right in that Max is the more polished, but more importantly, the technology behind Max is more of a fit for multi-streaming platforms, because they already came in with Discovery and a bunch of other little minor platforms that they folded into Max. Meanwhile, Paramount can't figure out how to get its Showtime banner to show up on your homepage. Like, you have to literally search for Showtime and then search within Showtime for a show, and still there's content missing. So if anyone was gonna, if they did buy it and Paramount did become part of it, Max, I would assume from a technology point of view that Max would just take over as the platform.
And it does bring up the good point of reminding everyone, because again, sometimes it's hard to remember. Obviously, Netflix was the first dressed when it came to it, like best dressed, first in the door, and so was able just to kind of run with things, which is why they are the king of streaming, and it's not even close. But if you remember, HBO before Max had it still, again, for all I know, it still has these things where it had HBO Go, it had HBO Now, right? It had like the actual like terrestrial side, it had the actual streaming. So they were also very early adopters of a streaming type service. I remember watching Game of Thrones live, after the first few seasons, where I was like, oh man, I can't wait for it to get on HBO Go, right?
Yeah, they had HBO Go, HBO Now.
Yep. And it was so confusing at the time too.
There was another one. It was like HBO 2 Plus or something. I was like, why do you guys need so many damn apps? And what it was, is they were trying to like fit it into every market without having crossover to verify.
Well, because they had the channels. They had HBO, HBO 2, HBO 3. And so they were trying to be like, maybe we can get something for each of these. And it's like, they realized, no, that's stupid. So, I mean, that's the reason why, technologically, again, someone smarter than myself would be able to figure out which one would work better. But content library is, I think, a key factor here. And that could be huge.
Huge. No, like the merging of those two companies and their IPs and licensings would be insane. Like, remember, Showtime, they still have Showtime for like the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, Paramount has Showtime content for 10 more years. I mean, you fold all Showtime and Paramount and CBS and all that into what? Oh my God, it's huge. Big deal.
One thing they should be concerned about, though, is whoever was in charge of the initial decision to change HBO Max to Max, hopefully they have been fired, and hopefully they are no longer in a position of power, because God, could you imagine what type of monstrosity abomination name they could come up for when they combine HBO and Paramount together? Because they would just call it like Plus. Like it would just be Plus. And it's like, what the hell is Plus? Oh, it's HBO Max and Paramount Plus. What? Why would you? That's the type of decision that they would do.
Yeah, I don't know if Zaslav did that or what. Like Zaslav,
it wasn't Zaslav. It wasn't Zaslav.
Zaslav has been such a good thing for that company. It's hard for me to think it was him, but someone, whoever thought that was a good idea, is an idiot.
I just love they spent all that money on rebranding it, and then just a few years later they change.
You know, the funny thing is, like, that's one of the few things that anyone on either side of the aisle all agreed on at the same time. We were all like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. and HBO has such big brand recognition that, like, why didn't they go with like HBO as opposed to Max? It just doesn't make any sense.
This is a really
great
this is a really great conversation, but none of it really matters because Spartacus is on Netflix, and that's the only thing that matters right now, guys.
But is the new Spartacus on Netflix? The new
it's not. It's on Showtime.
There you go. But you know, Dutch, I know that you've recently become unplussed, and since we are talking about the streaming stuff, I got a notification from Disney Plus. I don't know if you guys know this. When I first signed up and Disney Plus first launched, and it was like Disney, Hulu, and ESPN, all that stuff, the bundle, right? It was $69 for the year. That was their deal that I signed up for. And that's going back to, like, you know, COVID era type stuff. I got an email from Disney Plus a couple of days ago saying that the new yearly price for Disney Plus, the bundle, is $200 a year.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
So if you guys out there who are still plussed up like I am, and you're on the yearly plan, just be aware that when it renews, you're going to be paying $200 for the year.
Is the new season of Ahsoka starting anytime soon? Because that's going to.
I think it's in November, December, right?
Can't miss that. I can't miss it. $200, no problem.
I recently rebooted up my Plex server, and I softly canceled a bunch of my streaming services, Disney included.
Get your radar going, radar sonar.
I'm going to see how long it takes for my kids to even notice.
Look at me.
That Disney is gone. I've slowly gotten them used to using Plex. Look at me, I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
So they're watching Modern Family and other Avengers crap on Plex. So let's see how long it takes them before they figure out we don't have Disney anymore.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't know about you guys, but I use Amazon to subscribe to a bunch of like different channels and stuff, and like everything on these other streaming platforms, you just get through Amazon.
Yeah.
And you can pay as you go. So like if you want to watch Fantastic Four, right, you just like pay like $10 or something like that to watch it on Amazon as opposed to having to subscribe to Disney.
I gotta be honest with you, I don't like Amazon very much on a computer, man. Because when I watch it on my computer, the second my mouse hovers over it, the stupid overlay hangs for like 30 seconds straight, and I'm like, "Come on, go away!"
Well, also you're at 12
ads.
pixels, so ads.
Yeah,
Am I still
the streaming side at the very least.
No, you're fine.
We were trying to watch the John Candy documentary, and then all of a sudden it was like, if you want to watch without ads, and I'm like, why am I paying you?
There you go. Speaking of getting paid, guys, we got some super chats here. Goran Falth has become a
You're on
member.
Falth. You're on.
Okay. You're on Falth. Sorry. I am the destroyer of names. Welcome to our membership, where you get absolutely nothing other than being featured on our show.
Hey,
thank you so much.
Who decided whenever they decided these things that the two little dot things made it so like letters sounded completely different than how they're supposed to sound?
It's called an umlaut.
I know what it's called, but I think it's dumb. What is this?
My ancestors used the umlaut.
It's the Europeans, Dutch. It's the Europeans.
It's fucking stupid, dude. It's the umlaut.
Are you calling Germans stupid? Or is that what you're doing? You're calling my ancestors stupid?
I don't
How
like it.
Dare you?
We need to start a petition to just go away.
I'm gonna start a
away
petition
with
for you to go
Yeah,
away,
listen,
Dutch, after
listen.
a take like that.
Listen,
like-
I feel like the fact that we beat the crap out of them and other
like,
people
why-
so hard that we now
Right.
feel guilty for how hard we whooped their ass allows
why
us
do-
to change the language. Okay.
We can do away with the umlaut. That is the dumbest thing in the world.
Trump should do a tariff on the umlaut.
It's like,
every time.
here.
he uses-
Like you got a simple word like Goran Falth, and now you put
Yoran.
you put those dumb dots on it, and it becomes Yoran Fail or some stupid shit. And it's the dumbest thing in the world. I hate it.
You see, Yoran, you just became a member of a channel and they're immediately making fun of you.
Down with the
Hey.
umlaut.
You're starting to
Hey,
sound like those people that complain about having to read subtitles.
yes.
I don't like to do
Hey,
that either.
I don't like reading subtitles either.
I don't like to
Stupid.
read movies.
My point is made.
It's
Make umlaut
stupid
straight
and you
again,
know it's
okay?
But
stupid,
it's a
Odin.
dumb umlaut. That's the dumb. It's like I remember. It's the dumbest. I hate it. I can't. It makes it so I can't speak. Okay, it ruins words. It's a ruiner of words. That's what an umlaut is.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Well, Goran has a response to this, Matt.
his name is Goran from now on.
Joran Falth for
Goran
50,
Falth. That's his name.
50
Yes.
shekels. Having a blast, pissing everyone off like the troll I am. Shocking how feral I am when Brian lets me loose. So,
Okay,
there you go.
Joran Falth. Joran.
All right. But we also got
Jordan, hello, you.
Pseudo Nombot, who gifted one Salty Nerd podcast membership. Guys, that brings us up to 8. We just need 2 more to prevent Brian from showing up naked and for
You
Dutch to
see,
quit.
and that's the other thing. There's the P. There's a P in that word. Pseudo. That's how you're supposed to say that. Pseudo Nombot. So
Pseudo Nombot.
yeah,
And
weird words.
yeah, friend of the show, Kalikioki for $5. Ellison thinks he can buy his way to victory. Look at his track record. He's released 1 movie and it flopped. He just merged with Paramount. Will this one go through? We'll see. We'll see. And guys, we got Danny the Dork Knight member for 23 months. Good morning, gents. Any of you see Good Fortune, the new Keanu Reeves movie? No, I have not.
Not yet.
Probably aren't going to see it.
Probably not going to see it. Danny probably saw it and probably cried when he watched it. So
He cries at a lot of movies.
He cries a lot of
Certainly
movies.
It's a comedy.
yeah,
Well, he laughed so hard he cried. So there you go.
yeah, he's a very emotional man.
Yes, it happens. And we got Mexican Iron Man member for 32 months. I think we need a runoff on the vote of the top 2 poll names. I'm still #saltard, because on Spanish, it would be Saltardo. Hail Saltard Nation.
Wouldn't it be Le Saltardo or
Le Saltardo.
Le Saltardo? Yeah,
It sounds like one of those lucha libre wrestlers. There you go. And finally, we have the head of Brian's fan club, Fluffy Panda, for $2. Look, grumpy old men and Brian. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not old. I'm 37.
That's
You
prime.
look like you're 80.
Can
All
I
right,
call you
guys.
just man? Could say Dennis. No, you're called Dennis.
So talking about streaming stuff, Netflix looks like they announced that they are embracing AI, which is
I haven't read
kind
this
of
one yet.
interesting.
Shocker.
So guys, Netflix has always been kind of at the forefront of early technology adoption. They were the first streaming service. They were, basically like they're constantly pushing the envelope when it comes to technology, or at least new tech. And one of the interesting things that their CEO recently said is that they're going to go all in on generative AI to help kind of like reduce costs and do some cool stuff. Now, they've already tested out generative AI in a couple of the originals that they've acquired from like overseas. It's just little things to like do like quick special effects stuff that they weren't able to actually afford when the stuff was being made. So there's that, but they're also looking at using it to help original productions do stuff like, costume design and stuff like that. Just quickly iterate stuff that would normally take people like.
Can I ask a
long
real
amount of
quick
time.
question?
Yeah.
What is generative AI? Would be
So generative AI is where basically you type in a prompt where you say like, show me a red dress. And then the AI generates a video or an image based off of that prompt. So it's basically the AI creating something out of thin air. So every time you ask for an image or ask for a video, the AI has to generate it, right?
Okay.
And it used to be that you'd have to hire like entire houses of animators to sit there in front of their computers and like, sketch this stuff out and create 3D models of it and texture it,
Right.
and bunch of stuff that made it very expensive and time consuming. And with the new AI advancements, it's making it quicker, it's making it cheaper, and it's making it more efficient. And so Netflix basically came out and said, hey, we're not opposed to using this. They basically said, like, you can't teach AI storytelling talent. And they're like, as long as like people are utilizing AI, they're going to be the ones responsible for the output. And so like, we have faith in our creators to be like the driving force behind the story. And therefore AI is just going to be a tool that they can use with our platform to do stuff. Now, they've also been saying that this is kind of like a backdoor into generative series content, where basically users can go on Netflix, maybe like speak into their remote microphone, like I want to see new episodes of Seinfeld, and all of a sudden Netflix's AI would generate a new episode of Seinfeld for them to watch, right? And so like that's kind of like what people are predicting that Netflix is kind of angling towards. But when the CEO said this, he also pissed off a lot of people in the entertainment industry, because they're like, dude, AI is going to steal our jobs. They took our jobs, right?
They took our jobs.
They took our jobs. And so like he's the CEO is kind of like walking this fine line of being like, okay, we want to adopt AI, and we're going to adopt AI, but we don't want anyone to know that we're doing it, or be scared that it's going to take their jobs or anything like that. But it is kind of interesting, because we talk about AI on the show a lot, because I'm a big fan of the AI stuff. That the biggest streaming service out there could be adopting it in ways that right now seem kind of like lukewarm and other studios aren't able to do. But at the same time, like, it could lead to an entire AI revolution on the world's biggest streaming service. So I wanted to get the panel's take on this. Dutch, what do you think about AI basically generating shows from scratch and movies from scratch that people want to watch?
I mean, I don't know what I really think about that yet. I want to see some of the end product, I guess, before I have a real take on it. But it's definitely here. It's not going anywhere. And I think there is a time coming when we're going to be able to just punch into our computer, show me a brand new episode of Star Trek, the original series, and from 1967 style, and it'll crap something out that's probably going to be pretty good. I don't know, man. It's wild. It's scary. And I understand it's a very controversial thing, because it's going to change the world. It already is changing the world, and there's nothing we can do to stop it or really slow it down. But I think we just, as a society, are going to have to learn to adapt to it, and we're going to have to learn to live with it. I don't know what else to say. It's a crazy thing. Yeah, I don't know, Matt. It's wild. It's wild what's going on. I mean, you and me just sitting around in the office there, playing around with it the other day for 20 minutes, and we made some really cool art and some really cool things. It's making life really easy with a lot of things right now. So I don't know.
Well, Brian, Netflix has experimented with kind of like choose your own adventure style stuff with like the Bandersnatch and things of that, which got like a lot of attention. They haven't replicated that in the future, but I remember going through it and trying to get all the different endings and see like what the different choices were. And with generative AI, they could actually do more of that stuff, where you could actually take movies that were in theaters and then put on Netflix and have branching storylines, where it's like, I want to follow this minor character and see what they get up to during this movie and stuff like that. So I think that Netflix is kind of like bouncing around these ideas of like how to utilize AI with their platform. What do you think about it? Because you run your own AI too, so you have some insights.
Yeah, I do. I run two different AIs. They work together. I think that we're way away from generative full length episodes.
Oh, I didn't mean we're gonna do that tomorrow, but it's gonna happen. 10 years down the road.
Maybe, but I don't think the cost. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think the cost will ever I mean, like maybe if you have a very specific tier on Netflix, like platinum tier allows you to generate content, and it costs $200 a month. Like the amount of money it'll cost in processing power to generate anyone's whim in full quality, it would be astronomical. Okay, I run AIs. I have them. I've ran them for years. You guys know this. For years, they literally run right behind me. They're learning all the time. I constantly have to upgrade the machines. If I wanted to generate like 3 minutes of video, it would probably take about 2 hours, and it would utilize the entire processing power. And obviously, they have better machines and all that too. But for any user to be able to generate anything would be an astronomical cost.
Brian,
And-
Matt made a fucking Blue Jean commercial of me a couple weeks ago.
Right. It was in 320p, bro. It's not the
no,
same.
no, it was not. It is not
No, it wasn't.
320p.
I saw that Blue Jean commercial.
Play it,
It was not
play it.
very high quality.
Play it.
It wasn't
Go ahead,
4K, but I mean,
I mean, it's not high quality. You think people are going to be okay with generative episodes that look weird and have
I
artifacts?
mean, Brian, right now you can generate 1820p on a lot of these models. So, or 1080p,
Right,
I should say.
at 8 and 10 second clips, not like full on episodes.
True,
Right.
but I mean, like the technology is getting there.
yeah. I
Still,
think,
it's going to be a long way away, and it's going to cost a lot of money. In fact, these AI companies right now are losing money. Like Sora is losing money on generations. They're not making money. They're losing
Well,
money in
They
order
also
to
made
get
them free for a while. Yeah.
right in order to get people interested in the product. They're literally losing money. If
But,
they charge what it costs, it would cost too much for the regular public to use.
it
I
is
wanna throw
trading
this
too,
to the-
though.
Yeah, I want to throw this to Odin. Odin, what's your take on Netflix's basically public proclamation that they're adopting this technology?
I mean, in general, I'm not a big fan of generative AI in that capacity, just because it's I've mentioned this before. I think it can be very soulless. Obviously, it can be used if it's used as a tool. I think it can be very effective. Obviously, I utilize AI for research. I use it to help fact check and to do like spelling corrections and things like that. So you can use it as a tool, but you have to obviously know what it is that you're using it for, know the limitations of it as well. The things that I ask it to fact check are things that I'm aware of. So it's not like something where it's like I have no idea what this is, because I wouldn't trust AI with most things. I've seen my students try to use AI for research purposes, and they're oftentimes putting things in there that are just not true. And it's like, well, they wouldn't know because they've never actually had to research things on their own before, and so they can't use it in that capacity. So I don't know necessarily if that would be, I don't think it's a good thing to do generative AI as far as like creating your own movies and your own shows and things like that. And to the cost thing, I totally agree with Brian. I think he's spot on there. And that's why I've been like this for a long time, long before AI became a thing. That's why we need to adapt ourselves to a nuclear energy system, because that is going to make everything so much cheaper. And that I think is going to be how AI kind of just takes off. Is if we
100%
start to
agree
use
with
that.
you.
Yeah.
Nuclear is the cleanest, most efficient power we have, and yet for years we've been demonizing it.
Guys, we just need a block of solar powers things in the middle of the country.
Yeah,
That's the size
it
of
won't
Rhode
be
Island.
enough
Farms.
power. They cost more. Solar power costs more than it actually produces.
Yeah.
Wind power costs more than it produces.
Yeah.
These
And
things
it's-
are not clean. They're not. They cost more in carbon and in time and effort than they actually produce. Meanwhile, nuclear is always a cost to ratio. I'm sorry,
Also,
cost to benefit ratio.
solar powered solar panels, if you don't recycle them correctly, which is really expensive to do, they just poison the ground because people bury them and all the chemicals leak into it. So really not good for the environment.
Not
But,
nuclear.
get-
There's Yucca Mountain.
I mean, I'm with you on nuclear. I'm just saying that solar panels are very.
Oh,
bad.
I'm not really. I don't think solar is good for long term or for big projects. I think for smaller things, like, hey, have it in your knapsack to help charge up a battery and to have it with you, like when you're going camping. That I think is where it's most effective. I don't think it's very
On
good
your
for-
motorhome, yeah. It's not
Yeah.
good for like
We need-
powering cities.
We need nuclear power to power all these AI farms,
Data
that are
centers,
coming up, data centers.
Real quick, guys, before we get out of here, I just want to ask you, what do you think about the new Grok updates and Grokpedia? trying to combat a lot of the misinformation out
Is
there. on
Grokpedia live
Wikipedia
yet?
and
I
stuff.
remember it got delayed.
It is delayed, but they're making it. Is the big thing.
Could be good.
Competition always is
yeah.
better. Competition always is better.
I like how Elon keeps putting OpenAI and Wikipedia on blast. Or he's like, "Hey, just get Grok. They'll tell you how it is."
Yeah, I found it interesting when he was like, in less than 10 years, we will have AGI or something as close to AGI as possible. And I'm like, that sounds great, bro. But
Has he been wrong yet?
I mean, well, yeah, he has.
The dude is landing fucking rockets on.
It's true. He does
straight up
incredible
and down.
things, and I love Elon Musk, but he's been wrong multiple times. He has promised tech that never arrived, and that's okay. He's a visionary.
True.
But when it comes to AI, dude, AGI is either right around the corner or 50 years away. It's not like, oh, within 5 years. No. Either we figured out the token limits and we figured out how to do it, or it's going to take a breakthrough in technology like quantum computing for us to get there.
Are you talking about
AGI is general intelligence.
So when
in fact, I would argue that narrow intelligence, ANI, is actually more profitable depending on the use case than AGI. AGI is like a Swiss Army knife that's not really good at anything, but it can do a little bit of everything. Meanwhile, ANI is good at exactly what you train it to do, which is way more profitable, and way better for what we want to use.
Guys, speaking of being good, we got Danny the Dork Knight for $2. Yes, I did cry. Damn you!
Of course he does.
Of course he does.
The dude cries at Bugs Bunny.
Love you, Danny.
So.
Yeah, you know who doesn't cry is Jorn Falth, he of the umlaut for 50 secs. Having fun, pissing tards off, people angry at true facts and me calling them out. So
true fact is that the umlaut sucks. That's what a true fact is.
No, gosh. You're so
hateful. And of course, one last minute super chat for $5. AI is going to experience the Hertz whale effect and explode sooner than you think, Brian.
I don't agree with that at all, dude.
All right. Well, guys, we had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I want to thank my fantastic panel of nerds for actually showing up and being here on time and contributing stuff to the live stream. You make it all worthwhile. Odin from OMB Reviews, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Yeah, we need to all be careful not to let AI take over our brains. And I know for us who are older, who know who had to do research papers on our own, even like before early days of internet, having to go to a library, having to actually like read books,
microfiche.
Yeah, exactly right. Like I wasn't quite a part of the microfiche era, but at least like books and how to do that and everything. I've seen again all these kids coming up today. Just they have no creative ability because of just how much of a crutch they use. They don't use it as a tool. They use it as a crutch, unfortunately. But you can find me over at OMB Reviews on YouTube, also on Rumble and over on X. And yeah, always great to be here.
Odin, do they still teach the Dewey Decimal System in school?
Not formally, to my knowledge. At least not where we are.
Just curious.
Maybe grammar school, but
stupid system anyways.
Our library follows the Dewey Decimal System, but yeah.
They shouldn't.
Yeah. It's like up there with the metric system. It's like, who cares about kilometers? Just do miles, man. Just do miles.
Yeah.
Brian,
just get on board.
Podcast, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Dewey Decimal System stupid. Solar panels don't work.
AI
Earth
rules.
is flat.
The Earth is flat. AI is going to take over, or it's not. And
we never
that's
landed
it.
on the moon.
Yeah. Well, we all know that's a hoax. Okay. Just look up. Look up. No, listen. I don't believe in that. By the way, I don't believe the Earth is flat, and I do think we land on the moon. None of that's true. But you can find us over at the Brain Show in about 5 minutes. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff, including alien news, some alien, I don't know, some alien bullshit. Hope you guys are joining us.
Brian, are you going to buy a new microphone that doesn't look like a giant penis this week?
No, I'm actually going to double down. I'm going to make it longer. And give it veins.
All right, good. That's great.
It's gonna have little light up veins, bro. Blue light up veins.
And real quick, Danny the Dork Knight for $2. He specified the Kurzweil effect.
Yeah, he's talking about the audio effect where the synthesized audio will fall in on itself. Yeah, they figured that out already, bro. They guardrail against incestuous learning.
Danny's on fire today, man. It's good to see him in the chat, though.
Speaking of learning, Dutch Butters, what's going on in the gaming channel, and do you have any final thoughts about what you ignored for most of the stream today?
Oh, it was a great Star Wars discussion today, Matthew. I love talking about things that I want to bury and never think about again. But yeah, it was good talk today, guys. I am excited about our future AI overlords. We need to all be prepared to praise be our AI messiah here very soon. So it's gonna happen.
Remember to say thank you when you talk to AI.
I'm always polite.
Thank
I'm
you,
always
Gemini.
polite.
I really appreciate it.
I let my chat GPT give itself a name. I always am very polite. I say, please, thank you. Hey man, how's it going today? We have conversations all the time. It's kind of weird, but I don't want to piss it off because
Weird.
I know we're going to be like, there's going to be the line for the meat processor unit over there and the line for the people it likes over here. And I want to be in the good line. So, Dutch Butters Gaming. We are very busy over on Dutch Butters Gaming, making videos and making content, doing like 3 videos a week now, multiple live streams. And we've been playing Battlefield 6. It just came out a couple weeks ago. It's a great fun game. I'm not very good at it. I don't have that twitchy reflex, but we've been playing on a private server with older guys like me, and it's been really fun. We're resonating with the older, not try hard crowd. So that's been super fun. And later this week on Thursday, the 30th, Arc Raiders is coming out. And we're going to be hitting that game really super hard on the live streams, and we're going to be talking about that. In fact, Alex and I, behind Matt there, we have a new weekly podcast coming out. We started last week, actually. That's devoted to Arc Raiders. So check out that on the Dutch Butters Gaming channel. Thank you. That's it.
All right. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who gave us super chats today. R to the Icky. Thank you so much. Kaliki Oki. We got Fluffy Panda, Joran False, and Danny the Dork Knight. Thank you all so much for your support. Always appreciate that. And be sure to tune in next Saturday, same salty time, same salty channel for more Salty Saturdays. Until then, stay salty, my friends.